Hey, ladies, welcome to Black Women Making Money. It is officially a Freedom Friday, and I got my Freedom Friday girl here, Victoria from the Credit Solutionist. Hello, how you doing tonight?
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey.
It's been a minute. We're trying to get our juices flowing on this nice Friday. It's cold here in
Mhm.
Virginia, but
Yeah.
still making money doing what we do.
That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about money, to make money, but even more important than that, I had a topic earlier today, and I was like, this topic is not working. So we scratched it. And instead, we are going to talk about the power of the pivot. So many of you saw the news about Kiki Palmer. I'm not going to belabor it, but just in case you don't know what happened, she has filed a restraining order against the father of her child. We're going to talk about that with regards to the power of the pivot, the power of the pivot, especially as upwardly mobile Black women. There's things that I thought when first of all, I didn't know this happened last night. I wake up this morning and literally my timeline is like, zoom, about Kiki Palmer, right? Even to the
Mm-hmm.
point where I go into Business Insider, which I pretty much do every day in order to find the news. And there's an article on it, pretty much a big article in Business Insider. So we've got the white business folk talking about Kiki Palmer and the drama that she has going on.
Lord have
But I thought it
mercy.
was important as upwardly mobile Black women to have this conversation and to have the conversation with regards to, even though we're upwardly mobile, that doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes, right? It doesn't mean that we cannot get out of those issues. And ultimately, all of us need to, at some point, pivot. And Victoria, probably about 6 months ago, Victoria invited me and Mentor Shelley on a panel to talk about the power of the pivot when it came to Blac Chyna. So that's the reason why I put Blac Chyna on the thumbnail as well, because Blac Chyna has been pivoting as an upwardly mobile Black woman. And you may say, Cherie, Blac Chyna, what are you talking about? Blac Chyna was making, according to reports, now I don't necessarily believe the reports, but this report said she was making $20 million a year on OnlyFans, and she left that and she pivoted. And Victoria broke that down. So we're going to talk about that tonight and how that can relate to us as upwardly mobile Black women. And of course, my number one ultimate pivoter of all time in entertainment industry, Madam Tina Turner, the ultimate pivot from Ike. So I put all three of them in on the thumbnail this evening with regards to the power of the pivot. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I couldn't think of a better person to have this conversation with and just banter with than Victoria. So hello, my dear.
I guess I'm channeling my Tina Turner with the hair, huh? I just need
You
the
are.
blonde tips.
Yes, yes, girl. Look, the Tina wore it like nobody else.
I'm
So,
telling you. Okay, look, y'all, we didn't plan this, okay? I didn't mean to come on with my Tina Turner hair, but we
but
gonna
you
rock
know,
with it.
we gonna rock with it. Exactly, we gonna rock with it. So, um, before we continue, like the video, please share the stream. We're gonna have some good girl chat here. We're gonna keep it positive, but we're probably gonna get a little messy tonight. We shall bring some money discussions in here because when you're pivoting your look, your physical look, your mental, etc., oftentimes your pockets are pivoted as well. Your money catches up with you one way or another. Victoria does debt consulting, so she's going to talk about
Mhm.
that. She knows about credit, stuff like that. And the ultimate pivot, the ultimate time to pivot is now during the holiday season. You all know we are just studying Indistractable, the book by Nira Yal, and we're also talking about networking a lot. So, our next Zoom meeting, ladies, our next Zoom meeting behind YouTube will not be shown on YouTube, is going to be on December 3rd 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are not on my email list, in order to get the invite to our next discussion, we're going to be talking about Indistractable again. We're going to be talking about networking during the holidays. And we're ultimately going to be talking about how do we get this money in 2024. So if you want to be invited to that session on Zoom, December 3rd, on Zoom, then you need to be on my email list, bwmakingmoney.com. So I want to say hello to Lanique. Hello. Kadano is in the house saying happy Friday to you. Victoria, you literally put me on this amazing channel. Good. Thank you so much for being here. And Jay Antoinette is in the building as well. So
Hey.
let's get started with the gossip.
Oh, Lord.
and
She
the
knows me
pivot.
so well, you guys.
Yes, look, we might as well, right? We might as well. So, um, let's start with Kiki Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
With Kiki Palmer. So last night I had no clue what was going on. I know all of this stuff broke last night. They had a lot of people doing live streams and things like that. This morning
Mm-hmm.
I wake up and all of a sudden in my feed is Kiki, Kiki, Kiki. I'm like, wait, what? What's going on here? And within the first couple of minutes of listening to what is happening with Kiki, the first thing I thought is here is an upwardly mobile Black woman with
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem issues. It was the first thing that went in my head. It doesn't matter how much money we have, how much money we think we have. We have good jobs, we have good credit, we, traveling around the world, etc. We are susceptible to people preying on us. When I say pray, Prey, preying
Mm-hmm.
on us if we do not have self-esteem, if we do not have standards for ourselves. Toss it over to you. Like, what did you think, first of all, when you heard the news about what was going on with Kiki?
Okay. So I will say I wasn't super surprised
Mhm.
only because as a spectator, obviously, I'm speaking as someone from the outside looking in, so I can see it a lot more clearly than the person that's actually in the fishbowl with the monster. So I do think, like you said, Kiki definitely suffers from self-esteem. I have an unpopular opinion in that anyone that is in the entertainment industry actually already has a seed of low self-esteem within them anyway, because going into performing arts where you're on camera, there is a sense of I need to be seen, I need to be validated. It's not usually just about the artistic form, because you could just do that in your apartment if that was the case, right? So she definitely may also have not necessarily developed mentally as a regular person would, because as you'll remember, like I think she first got into Hollywood as a preteen, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yeah,
So
Kill It, I think, was her first big breakout role, and she must have been, what,
yeah,
9 years old, something like that.
yeah. So this is a person that literally has a, I don't want to compare her to Michael Jackson, but you know how it is with child stars. They don't
Mhm,
really develop like the rest of us in the real world. So
mhm,
there's a lot of just differences in personality, attention versus not getting attention walking down the street. That could really affect them a lot more than it would affect you or me walking through the grocery store.
mhm,
So there's also, I'll say this and then I'll give it back to you, but there's also a sense of having to be down when you look like us and you become moderately famous or moderately notorious for something. We do also still have that pressure from the community to be down. So again, because of her upbringing in Hollywood, she may not know what being down truly means. So
mhm.
hence why we may have this issue that we have today. She was down for the wrong one.
She was. So, well, Still Rocks, first of all, hello, how you
Hey,
doing
still
today?
rocks.
And Rana is in the building. Hello to you as well. Everybody, please like the video as you're coming in and share the stream. Well, let me say this. We Kiki has arrived because she is officially in Business Insider of all
Mm-hmm.
places. I
Girl.
mean, this is, business, right? Right.
How is this
Isn't
business related? I
Business
need to
Insider?
know.
Even though Business Insider can be messy as well, but they they had a it was some it was something about Taylor Swift caused the blue wave on Tuesday. I think one of the politicians blamed Taylor Swift for the Republicans not winning as much as they thought they would on
Oh,
Tuesday, and
geez.
how the Democrats
It
the
can never just
Democrats
be
are
that
having
our
stuff like that.
campaign sucked. It can never be that.
Exactly. So Business Insider will report on entertainment stuff. They'll report it on Taylor Swift officially being a billionaire and things like this. But this is
Mhm.
shade room kind of stuff. Yet
Right.
we're becoming the face of dysfunction as well as
Mhm.
upwardly mobile Black women. Doesn't mean that
Yes.
we're the only ones that are dysfunctional, but this is not a good look for us either, you know? Um,
Correct.
but then Business Insider's reporting on it. If anybody does not know what's happening, Kiki Palmer was dating a guy named Darius Jackson. Apparently, he came into her home a couple of days ago and basically beat her up. And she has filed for full custody of their son, who is 8 months old. And she has filed a restraining order against him. I'm not going to show you the pictures because they're pretty graphic. Um, and we don't need to see that. Most of you have already seen that. But Kiki is at a point right now where she really needs to pivot. And let's take the fame out of it for now, Victoria. Let's take the fame
Mhm.
out of it and really just talk about, how does an upwardly mobile Black woman pivot? What are some of the things that you think somebody like a Kiki would need to do outside of being famous and having all of these people in her ear?
First, I would say that Kiki definitely has to get outside of her bubble and probably find or seek out professional help from someone that is not really starstruck or awestruck with whoever she is. She needs
Mhm,
people to be honest with her.
mhm,
Again, when you're famous, people do tend to be yes people, right? Because the more you're out there, the more you're controversial, the more money and more marketable you can become if you play your cards right, a la Kim Kardashian, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, that turned a completely dysfunctional sacrilege thing that happened in their marriage and made money off of it. So now cheating is
ma
cool,
made
right?
major
Cheating is
money,
cool.
yes.
Yeah. And I actually saw, just to kind of pivot a little bit, I saw a meme of Taylor Swift and that Kelsey guy, and it said
Mhm.
Taylor Swift walking with her next album. So
Well,
we
you know what? That is a very true thing.
no,
The
but we
the meme is true.
right. So we've literally made a joke out of human trauma. So
Uh-huh.
what I was going to say with Kiki, I think that again, she has probably got people in her camp, her PR people, folks like that, that say, hey, she hasn't had a movie in a while. She hasn't really been popping since, what was that movie? Nope. I don't know. Has she been in anything since Nope? Does anybody know?
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is. So I think because of that, she does have to still create a buzz. Now, what better buzz to have than to be relatable? She's got a bad boyfriend. A lot of us have had that. She's got, problems just like the average person. But I think because she does have the funds, she has the means, she has the connections, she really does have to start with mental health for herself
Mhm.
with someone that's honest. The second thing is she really does have to take a look at her circle, who is closest to her, who knows her information. And she really needs to start sifting and I would say kind of cutting, trimming the fat, so to speak.
Mhm.
It's about to be a new year. Why not use this holiday season to just kind of trim the fat, like
Cut people
redo the
out.
team, restructure
Mhm.
everything. So I think those are the two things she needs. She needs a rebranding, which is going to be restructuring her circle, getting more, getting better PR, and then also getting the mental help that she needs from an honest party,
Mhm.
and not focus on the controversial, but really focus back on her talent, because I think that's what's going to help her go the distance, especially as a Black woman in the Hollywood industry. You are either a Blac Chyna, Sukiana, all those other people, or you're
Sexy
an
Red or Big Red or something like
right.
that.
Girl, yes, listen, we don't know these people.
We don't know these
You're
people.
either that or you're an Angela Bassett.
Whew. And Angela
Which one do
Bassett
you want to
has
be?
longevity. You never,
Who also played Tina Turner, by the way?
yes,
Not coincidental.
yes.
Okay. So
Angela
let's be real.
Angela Bassett has longevity. Angela Bassett is
Yeah.
always working. Angela Bassett probably has more awards than you care to count.
And
And
seems
she
to have
does
married
not
well.
have to. I'm sorry.
She seems to have married well.
She has married well. Courtney B. Vance was a very good choice for her.
Hmm.
Viola Davis also married very well.
Yep.
Viola Davis is the one that I hear fighting back with regards to if she is the Meryl Streep, but people say Viola Davis is the Meryl Streep of the
Hmm.
industry, then she should be paid as Meryl Streep.
Right.
However, Viola Davis does not have to manufacture drama in
Hmm.
order to work, in order to have a career, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think a lot of the young ladies do either. I think that one of the things I wrote down here was using your resources. And this is Samri, first of all, being here. Hello, Samri, saying this is a very important discussion for upwardly mobile Black women, a nuanced one. Exactly. So I want to take what's going on with Kiki and relate it to us. So not looking at her fame or anything like that. As upwardly mobile Black women, we have something that impoverished Black women don't have as much of, and that's resources. Resources is more than money. Resources is your networks. Resources is your ability to get places and to, some of you have very excellent health care that includes mental health care. You
Hmm.
can go see the best psychologists. If you need to be on antidepressants, you can get, a quality um, pharmaceuticals if that's how you choose to go.
Hmm.
You don't have to just go to Planet Fitness. You can go to a better type of gym if you choose to, and invest in your physical health and things like that.
Yep.
Upwardly mobile Black women, when it comes to pivoting, an upwardly mobile Black woman like a Kiki really can leverage her resources in order to take care of her mental health, like you said, Victoria. She can
Hmm.
leverage her resources in order to reduce her circle, increase her circle where it needs to be increased, and reduce her circle where it needs to be reduced. But she has a very good opportunity right now, and I don't think it's smart for her to continue to believe that the only way that she can have longevity in Hollywood or have longevity in a career
Hmm.
is to continuously have these controversies, especially these
Yeah.
types of controversies. And Rana, I don't know if this is true. I hadn't heard this, but I haven't read a lot. If
Hmm.
you hurt the son as well, allegedly, you're saying, if this is the case, are we now sacrificing our children in order to spark up controversy so that
I
can have jobs and, and more resources and things like that? That is a very precarious thing to do to our children.
hmm
That's not a smart thing. And, you know, there are a lot of ways to make money in Hollywood. Actually, I just remembered that the Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, they just signed. Well, no, they didn't just sign. They just finished negotiating their contract. So a lot of those actors have been out of work for a while as well.
hmm
So it could be tight on money. But there are a lot of other ways that these individuals can make money outside of acting.
hmm
There's just a lot to learn with regards to this and understanding the power of the pivot when you are knee deep in the thick of, like, I just experienced the worst week of my life. What am I going to do? And I think
Yeah.
maybe that's where I see Kiki right now versus a Blac Chyna versus a Tina Turner. Tina, may she rest in peace, she experienced that horrible night in 1978. Blac Chyna was having a hard time in, what was it, 2020?
Yeah, about 2020 up till now. Yeah.
Yeah, and now you have Kiki who's in the thick of it. And how do you, pivot and progress, especially as an upwardly mobile Black woman? So,
Yeah. I do think part of this, sadly, I feel like a lot of the coverage on this story is more or less how Kiki could have done better. That's kind of the
mm-hmm,
sentiment that I'm getting
mm-hmm,
versus the, oh, wow, this is an actual woman that is in an abusive relationship. That
mm-hmm,
is sad. That's tragic. That is an emergency situation. I do notice that a lot of us Black women
mm-hmm,
actually don't receive a lot of sympathy. That is because there's a trope that we kind of inherit. We didn't ask for it, but we are the tough ones. We're the ones that if you hit us, we're going to hit you back. We're the strong Black women, right? So
mm-hmm,
I do think that I see it two ways. And this is going to be unpopular, guys, but I see on one end, I do think that Kiki is playing this because, as we know, Rihanna shot to fame after she got beat up.
mm-hmm,
We do know, again, we didn't even know Tina Turner was getting beat up until she decided to release the book I, Tina,
mm-hmm.
and
In
then had
83.
What's Love. Yeah, and then had Love.
Mm-hmm,
What's Love got to do with it, right? So
mm-hmm,
we didn't even know that happened. But I will say she did get a bit more popular after that as well. So I
mm-hmm,
don't know if it's a matter of seeing the strong Black woman get beat on that draws people to it, or seeing her in adversity, or if it's because of the sympathy part. I really don't know. So with Kiki, because of her level of fame, I'm going to keep an open mind about this because I think that some of it is PR.
mm-hmm.
Because why did that tape get out? That's a private video inside of her home. It hasn't even been out long enough for somebody to do a FOIA request, you guys. So this is an insider job.
Oh
This
yeah,
is
no,
either,
she
yeah,
released it.
because girl, I get suspicious.
No,
I get
no, she
suspicious. So
probably,
let
and I
me.
knew that she probably released that.
Yes, and I think she's doing that because she's playing the trope to
Mm-hmm,
see which way it goes, to see, am I getting sympathy, or are they saying that I should have done better? And I
mm-hmm,
think that the next pivot she does after this is going to be based on the public's opinion. I truly do. I think this is a bit of a PR test right now to see how Kiki's going to go into 2024. I am a conspiracy theorist, you guys. That's my take. So I'm going to leave it there. What do you think about that? That it could be a test run. She's using a tragedy as a test run.
I think that that is a very, excuse my French, shitty thing to do. No, 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 I'm
I shouldn't
serious.
laugh. It's not funny, but you get
It's,
where I'm coming
I
from.
get where you're coming from. It had not occurred to me that that was what was happening. It had occurred to me that
Allegedly.
allegedly, that she had released this herself, because if I were in her position and I were her PR team, I would have suggested she do that as well. Like, this is going to drop. People are going to see this police
Hmm.
report. Just put everything out yourself, right?
Hmm.
And that way you control the narrative. So
Right.
I understand that. If she set it up for sympathy and for more opportunities, that is a very crappy thing to do.
Hmm.
Um, and I would never respect her for that.
Right.
There are a lot of women who are struggling and suffering because of, and I said it before, low self esteem.
Yes.
And because they have low self esteem and they feel like they'll never get a man to love them, they'll never have an opportunity to be married, they'll never have an opportunity to have kids, then the
Hmm.
man becomes financially abusive, he becomes physically abusive. There are upwardly mobile Black women who are paying all the bills and still getting physically assaulted.
Yeah.
It would be, I just I just don't play with that personally. I think it would be a very crappy thing to do. So
Hmm.
I'm not going to push that on her. Um, I will say that if you're gonna, well, I will say two things. Number one, if you're gonna pivot, do it, right? Especially in
Hmm.
this kind of situation. There are, and then number two is, I was listening to somebody and they were talking about the fact that, oh no, no, I was listening to, I'll admit the YouTuber I was listening to, because this is the first YouTuber that like came across my YouTube this
Hmm.
morning, was Storm Monroe. And
Okay.
I listened to his call-in show, and there were people saying, if it were me and my brothers would be over there fighting, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And I knew a woman who was being, you know, DV'd by her
Mhm.
husband. You don't do anything until the person is ready to leave. You don't, because it's an endless situation. Part of what I was coming back to Kiki with is, if you're going to pivot. If you're out, out. Don't be
Yeah.
out today and back in tomorrow, because that
Yes.
is the quickest way for people to say, you know what, that's you, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's partially why Tina stayed with Ike. Number one, he got the right one. She was somewhat of a victim because she didn't really have a
Hmm.
strong family, right?
Hmm.
For all we
Yes.
know, I haven't heard much about Kiki's family. That's a problem.
Hmm.
So I do think there's some of that. I also do think that because um I guess I just don't like that it's being put on the forefront when it's us,
Hmm.
because I know a lot of women go through this situation. A
Hmm.
lot of them are going through it and not saying anything,
Hmm.
right? So nobody even knows it's happening. So that judgment of you going back to the person isn't there because nobody knew you were getting beat in the first place.
Hmm.
So now when it becomes public, you do actually open yourself up to scrutiny and criticism if you go back. So I
Hmm.
do think that this was happening obviously time after time with Kiki. This was a regular occurrence. This
Hmm.
man showed his true colors when they first started dating, no doubt. Now we're
Hmm.
not going to say he hit her, but he definitely yelled. He definitely did some name calling. He definitely probably slipped some insults in there and she just let it fly, but she knew in her gut. But I think now, because it's been so explosive, with the Usher thing and all this
Hmm.
junk that's been floating around, now it's literally come to a head. So it's like, oh crap, we have to do something about this now, because one, I've called the police. So this is already going to get out. It's going to get out. Okay. So we have to kind of navigate where this is going to go.
Hmm.
Um, but I think my issue with this is because I'm kind of battling mentally right now, which I didn't think this was going to happen. But it's like, again, we get less sympathy because we are seen as the fighters, the strong ones, the women that don't fight back, the women that
Hmm.
take all the pain, and we wear it as a badge of honor instead of saying, "Hey, I'm a soft woman. Actually, you shouldn't be yelling at me right now. You should actually be calming this situation down and not putting like gasoline on this fire."
Hmm.
Man, like what are you doing, and I've experienced this as well. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I don't know if the person's watching, but it's like these volatile situations do happen, and you have to be able to detect them very early in your relationship and be brave enough to walk away. Don't try to make a don't try to get famous off of it. Just let it go. Your time to shine will come at some other time. I don't like that Kiki is out here doing this, because I don't know if this is going to turn into, maybe she's going to take it and run with it as far as like being a domestic violence survivor, maybe a book deal,
She
maybe
might.
some
She
some
might.
some type of advocacy is going to happen after this. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent here, as I always do. Sorry guys. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's like I feel bad because no woman should be beat, but also like, girl, did you not know? Because he smashed your prescription glasses. That's like you looking to get stabbed or shot in my house if you stomp on my glasses, because I need
Because
those.
I need them to see. I need them to
Girl,
do my work.
that
Exactly.
would that would be like you taking my contacts while I'm sleeping and throwing them
Hmm.
out the window
Hmm.
and smashing my glasses. Okay, now I'm handicapped. I really can't do anything. So that's pretty big.
Yeah,
You think it's nothing, but it's big, you guys. So I'm gonna
it's
be
very
quiet.
big.
Let me stop. I feel like I'm being silly.
Well, I'm going to read the comments, but I'm also going to say, ladies, I said this before multiple times on this channel, is that it is very, very, very rare that the first experience of DV that you have with the man is you ending up like severely beaten. Usually there are little things that happen. There are little things that happen very early on in the process. And too many of us, um, do not like heed the warning signs. It's like God is trying to tell you in a whisper, this one ain't it. And then he whispers a little louder, this one ain't it. And then,
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're like, oh, I don't know what happened. I was part of DV, but wait,
Mhm.
like if you were looking at the warning signs over here. So this goes back to my self-esteem thing, ladies. This goes back to my self-esteem
Mhm.
is that we need to, as upwardly mobile Black women, we need to work on our self-esteem. Just because we're making 135,000, 150,000, 200,000, 300,000, or in Kiki's case, millions of dollars a year, does not mean we do not have self-esteem issues. And a lot of the pivoting that needs to be done in upwardly mobile Black women's arenas is because of poor self-esteem. It's because we let things slide. So
Mhm.
I've always told you all my DV experience, which it wasn't a horrific one, but I was dating this guy. He had incredible road rage just for no reason. Like we would be driving someplace, we weren't late. We didn't have like we'd be driving to a restaurant. We didn't have a
Mhm.
reservation. We weren't late or anything, and he would just like be honking the horn and cursing to people. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, but I let it go. And then one day, um, we were looking at a computer screen and I pointed and he slapped my hand. I did
Oh.
not wait for him to slap my face. I tell you all this story all the time. I didn't wait
Mhm.
for that because I knew that was coming. And you know what he told me? He had gotten arrested for DV before, but the police dropped the case, so I didn't have to worry about it. Now, ladies, if I had
Oh.
waited for him to choke me and things like that, then what?
Wow.
So God was telling me with the road rage in a whisper, like, hey, this guy ain't too stable. And then when he
Mhm.
slapped my hand, fortunately, I had enough self-esteem at that point to say, no, I can't. I can't. And I was gone.
Right.
Right. I'm going to read some of these comments here, and if you see anything you want
I
to
know,
comment
girl, they're
on,
going. This
Victoria,
is
just
great.
just let me know. So Rana is saying Tina Turner pivoted and married well. She certainly did. But here's
Yeah.
the interesting thing about Tina is that up until the very last interview that I saw of hers with Oprah, they were still asking her about Ike all of these years later. It was also Tina Turner's story that caused a lot of women to leave their abusive husbands as well.
Mhm.
So Tina's horrible story ended up being how so many other women had the strength to leave, and hopefully how other women did not even get into those issues because of Tina's story. So yes, she did.
Yeah.
Yes, she did, and ended up $250 million net worth when she died. So good for Tina. Kay Sherelle is in the building. Samri saying, I just got done shopping with my mother-in-law and I learned a bit about designer brands and skincare. Good for you. So
Which can
Roxas,
make you upperly mobile as well
oh
because you have
yes,
something in common with some upper echelon folks. So good
yes,
stuff.
absolutely. So Rox is saying such a sad situation. She definitely needs to get away from her friends and family. A new circle would be great. Protect her and her child.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Samri is saying if Kiki's situation is rage farming, that's another study on how people get attraction from triggering Black women and how they transmute that energy for their benefit. Yeah, which
What
is
is
a
rage
whole.
farming?
Um, I don't know
I've never
exactly.
heard that term before.
Yeah, but I was looking at the part where we're saying that people are triggering Black women. So um, I guess rage farming is if you do something enough to the point where you feel like you have um, a reason to lash out. So um, you're saying here, Kiki is not a victim; she's a volunteer. I would be
I
very
see.
cautious with that just me, be very cautious with that. I've never been a victim, like a true victim of DV. So I understand that
Mhm.
there are certain women, especially if they grew up in those situations, that it's very hard for them to adapt to a non-abusive relationship. So
It
I'm not
is.
going to throw volunteer on her like that. I will say that she does need to pivot right now, and that may mean she's not dating anybody for a while, you know? Um, Rhonda's saying she's still a victim. I sadly don't think Kiki is even remotely PR oriented for the upward trajectory of her career or her benefit, like the Kardashians. Or he said Kardashians.
Oh, no, that's Cadano. He said Kardashians.
She was likely just making the public aware of his abuse. So it could have been multiple things. I think the PR team was right in putting everything
Yeah,
out on
for
Front
sure.
Street. I absolutely understand that and agree with that. Like I would have been there as well. She may not have wanted to do that, but you know, it was a good PR move. I'll limit that.
Mhm.
Goddess Athena is here. Hello, my dear. Kiki's mom came on the internet and expressed her opinion. I heard about that. I saw it as well. Basically, she was saying, Victoria, Kiki's mom was basically saying that she went to Darius's brother last
Mhm.
year and was
Right.
complaining about the abuse. So
Which why are we
everybody
going
knew.
to his brother? Why what can his brother do?
His brother may have been able to talk to him, but you know,
What
like
I heard
everybody
was
knew.
I heard that the brother said, "Well, that's okay because
Hmm.
I used to be an abuser as well.
Hmm.
He's gonna grow out of it," which is very similar to the scene in What's Love Got to Do with It, where Tina calls her mama and says,
Hmm.
"Ike beat me. Can I come see you?"
Hmm.
What, mom? Ike bought you a car? What? So she already knew she wasn't gonna get no help from her own mama.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say this, and I'll let you move on.
Uh-huh.
Kiki's mama is a part of why Kiki ended up with an abusive boyfriend. Kiki's mama is in denial right now.
Hmm.
That's a little
Whew.
too deep for some people, but Kiki's mama, she's trying to do damage control because she knows that Kiki's upbringing is part of why she's this way.
So let's talk about this. Power of the pivot, changing your circle. And changing mama out can be hard. No,
You
you
have
can't
to
change
change your
mama out.
story
Sorry.
to change
Sorry.
the story, not the,
Ch-
you know.
well, separating
If
yourself
you
from
can't
mom
change
can be
mama, change
hard.
the
You
story.
cannot change your mother, right?
Yeah.
But separating yourself from mom, dad, family members can be hard.
It is.
However, I do know of certain upwardly mobile Black women that they have to cut their family out of their lives for them
Yeah.
to have a certain level of peace as well.
Yeah.
Um, and through this is one of the things that you and I were going to talk about tonight. Through mental peace, you can begin to have physical peace. And through physical peace, can begin to have more financial peace because there's a guy, T. Harv Eker, that says that when drama goes up, profits go down. And profits are not just in a business, it's also in your home. So
Mhm.
Kiki's drama has gone up in her home, meaning that her profits, at least for right now, are going to go down. She's got to spend a lot more money, on her PR and things like that in order
Right.
to deal with this situation. Um, in our lives as well, when drama goes up, profits go down. If you're dealing with a guy and you're in DV, and he does something so bad that you can't go to work one day, um, even if you have PTO, that still affects your
Mm.
pockets,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
everything that we're doing in life does have a financial impact on us.
Wow. That is so real, Cherie. I'm so glad that you said that.
Mhm.
And I will say, just to make it fair, because I know that there are some men in the chat, because we only got like 7, 8 people chatting, but we got like 30 people in the house. Hi, by the
Mhm.
way. So I know
And
there's
like
probably
the
some.
video.
Yes, please like and share, y'all. Click the link and share. But I know that on the other side as well, Without going too deep into it, I have actually seen the other side where the man is maybe not able to conduct himself as he normally would because he begins dating a woman or because he's in a situation that's a little volatile. Men are affected when they have arguments with their girlfriends or
Mhm.
whomever, to where they can literally be thrown off track and it can affect their job. You know what I mean? I've experienced that before where,
Mhm.
yeah, I've well, they blamed me, but I don't think it was me, y'all, because whatever. But they said that, I threw them off so bad they just couldn't go to work the next day. Okay. That really? But yes,
Yeah.
but it happens, you guys. So it's on both sides. I don't want to make it seem like it's only men to women, sometimes women to men as well, so
It's very
let's be fair.
interesting that my father, may he rest in peace. My father was and I were having a private one-on-one conversation one day, and my father was married for 18 years before he died.
Mhm,
The woman that he married, I liked. I liked my stepmother, right? So
mhm.
my father tells me, Cherie, you know why I married your stepmother? I was like, no, why? They've been married. By that point, they'd been married for about 5 years. He said, I was dating a woman who was prettier than your stepmother, and she was better in bed. And I was like, oh.
Dad, I don't want to hear that.
He said, I was like, oh God, what is that?
Father.
But he said,
Oh,
but I decided to marry your stepmother because she was peaceful. And I appreciate, I know, I was like, Dad, I
I
didn't
needed
need
to
the
hear this
extra,
tonight.
right? Or I didn't need the extra, right? But I was
Wow.
like, but I got it. And of course, my father by that time was a man of a particular age and all of that. He was just in his 50s by the time
Mhm.
that he had married my stepmother. But there is something to having a peaceful house.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that your marriage will be perfect all the time, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that nothing will ever happen, but at least it doesn't need to be generated internally. Like, I had another friend as well who she was married to this man, and she told me one day at lunch table that she walked around giant grocery store for 2 hours because she did not want to go home after work. And she was lugging around two like infants with her. And she did not want to go home. So she, was like, she stayed in Giant for 2 hours, and how miserable that is. So when we start talking about pivoting, your mental health affects your physical health, it affects your financial health,
Mhm.
it affects your career, it affects everything. This self-esteem thing. This is why I want to have this conversation tonight,
Yeah.
because your mental peace, your self-esteem, the things that you think, the content that you focus on YouTube, all of those things affect you physically.
Yeah.
Your weight, your money, the debt that you're in, all of those things. And a lot of times we, as upwardly mobile Black women, we don't have these conversations from that point of view.
It's hard to be upwardly mobile when other things in your life that aren't related to your finances are pulling you down. So if you want
Mhm.
to be metaphorical about it, we have to remember that, you guys, like, to be upwardly mobile, you can't have a counterweight pulling you down in your personal life. And Cherie, I'm so happy I'm on live with you right now because
Mhm.
this is a lesson for me for this entire week. Wow.
You
Continue.
can't go up. You said, I think you and I are hitting 1,000 tonight. You
Oh,
cannot go up if you or somebody else is pushing you down.
and it's
I
so
think.
hard sometimes to realize that's happening. Like I said, when
Mhm.
you're in the snow globe with all the chaos, you guys, it's so hard
Mhm.
to see it. Trust me.
Mhm.
But your gut never lies. You just got to stop ignoring it. So,
Yeah.
all right, sorry, go ahead.
Everybody, please like the video. Please like the video.
And I know they
Um,
can agree. Like some people are going through this. Y'all put a 1 in the chat if you feel what we're talking about right now.
you
Cause
feel?
wow, seriously. Cause I know some people are going through this right now where you're like, oh my God, that person, that circumstance, that friend is actually a weight. And I didn't realize it. Like seriously. You ain't got to
Yeah.
say who it is. Just give us a 1. That's all. So I'm gonna put my 1 in there. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Let me put my 1. All right, go ahead. I'm
But
sorry. You were
Joanne, yeah, and Femme Fatale, I see you wrote a lot of stuff in here. I don't think we were commenting on these things specifically. No, we don't think femicide rates are fair. You know, not everything is from Black men. I don't think we're, practicing a misogynoir up here. I don't know if
not
that's
at
what you
all.
meant. I just wanted to acknowledge you that we can be fair in saying that there are women who do agitate men. I think that we would
Absolutely.
be unfair if we did not acknowledge that. We can be fair in saying that both parties, both men and women who are upwardly mobile, should focus on having a peaceful home and a peaceful existence together. And if
Yeah.
you're not going to be peaceful together as husband and wife, you should not be together no matter what. So, because it is easier for you to be upwardly mobile, as Victoria said, without a weight coming down. Or if the weight is coming down, it should not be because you and I are having issues internally. It should be because something happened in the world and, we're going to fight it together. So, you
Yeah,
know,
because your other person, your friend, your family, your significant
mhm,
other, they can be a blessing and a curse. Think about an anchor on a ship or a boat, right? If you've ever gone fishing, an anchor can be a blessing and a curse, y'all. Sometimes the anchor gets you stuck in the rocks. But then there's other times where the fish are right below your boat, and that anchor is going to get you dinner for the next
mhm,
2 weeks.
and
Okay.
that's what you want.
That's what I'm saying. So it's okay to have an anchor, but you got to use it correctly, right?
Yeah.
Like challenge each other. Don't what's the word? We're not warring.
No, no,
Challenging is
no.
okay, but we're
No,
not bucking
we
against each other.
we don't want that. I've never been called a
Yeah.
pick me before, so I guess I'll accept that as an honor.
Oh
Um,
Lord. It's only because whenever you know how it is, Cherie, whenever we try
mhm,
to foster fairness, that's yeah, because it is Black women making money, but we also have to be accountable as Black women. Like I said, if I didn't
absolutely.
get my lesson this week, I wouldn't have even thought about this either. So I get
Mhm,
it. But bye, girl,
yeah.
have fun.
Yeah.
Shoot.
And Khaleesi, we had said this before, I absolutely understand that there are women out there who did not grow up in a peaceful home. I definitely show compassion to people who are DV survivors, people who get into DV, but we also, of course, want to be able to say the red flags show up before, um, long before like the massive issue happens.
Mhm.
So yes, I'm definitely one to say no. I will never shame anybody who has stepped, has gone through DV. And how can we definitely learn from each other with regards to that and pivot as well. So that was the point
That's the lesson.
of
Yeah.
tonight. That's the lesson. So I want to, because we had mentioned Blac Chyna and Tina Turner,
Mhm.
Blac Chyna is going through a body transformation.
Hey, hey, hey.
So we talked about Kiki. So Kiki is like in the very beginning of her pivoting. Now, Chyna is in the middle of her pivot, right? Victoria, you had talked about Blac Chyna when she started her pivot
Mhm.
a couple of years ago. Do you remember like any aspects of that conversation that we had with Mentor Shelley?
And where is Shelly, by the way? Look, so what I
I don't know.
remember most from it was that, in my humble opinion, China has game. right? Chyna came from a household where her mom was a hustler, drug dealer, stripper. She learned the game on a level that a lot of us will never get. And some of us are just now getting in our big old age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that she chose a lane to kind of play her game. You know, she had a goal in mind. She kind of didn't necessarily see it through to the end. And I think she got in over her head with the family that she chose to go to war with.
Mm-hmm.
But she is savvy. And I think that's the thing that I didn't say in that live is that she is business savvy. It's just that I don't think she's very good at, or I think she could use some refinement in mixing the business savvy with her street smarts, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think that the arena she is trying to pivot into is probably going to be a little more fitting, because I do think that in the religious culture, the spiritual culture, you have a bit more pull when you are a vagabond, when you are a undesirable in society, when you are the former stripper. That's accepted a little bit more, to where it plays into the narrative better, where I think she's going to pivot and be a lot more successful doing it this way than she did with the Kardashians, if that makes sense. And again, because she's street smart, she kind of knew that the sex appeal, all of that, you're going to age out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no shortage of young Black women that are bubblicious that want to be out there showing everything, right? So
Yeah.
that's not really a unique thing. It's not unique. It's not a unique selling point.
It doesn't
So
have longevity.
yeah, no longevity.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a family. She's got things that she really has to she has to think about the future, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think the pivots she's making now, though I was a bit harsh with her, now that the dust has settled, I can totally see what she's doing. And if she really is genuine about it, this is going to be great for her, because this is a quintessential story of a come to Jesus moment, literally,
Yeah.
right? Because
It
who better to
and
show you salvation is real than somebody that was in the trenches?
yeah. Well, she's still in the trenches. So outside of this article, I saw a couple of other articles. She's still going for custody of her oldest
Yeah.
child with Tyga. Uh, I'm saying these names like I know who these people are. I don't.
I don't either, girl.
But I know he's a rapper. um, but a couple of interests, there she's still going through the pivot. And
Yeah.
one of the interesting things when I was looking at some of the headlines of the articles about where she is in her walk right now, she's still going through a lot with regards to the Kardashians. Her daughter just turned 7 years old. I was like, wow, she turned 7 a couple of days ago.
Wow.
And she still doesn't have, Angela Blac Chyna just
Mhm.
had to complete parenting classes. So there was an article that came out that says she just finished her parenting classes. So
Mhm.
one of the interesting things I will say about the pivot is not instantaneous. The decision to pivot is instantaneous,
Mhm.
but the pivot itself may take years.
Yes.
It's
And
going to
work.
take years and major work for her to pivot from where she was. The last thing before her transformation was OnlyFans, where
Yeah.
they said she was making 20 million a year. I don't believe it, but okay, right?
No, she even came out and said, "Y'all, listen, that's not really what happened."
Oh,
So
okay. All right. This is like I don't believe she was making 20 million a year.
yeah.
But she was still making decent enough money to new, this new path. And Rana is right. She did
Yeah.
convert to Christianity. She got her doctorate, I believe, in
Yeah.
theology,
Sure
even
did.
though I don't think she studied.
Girl,
for
certificate. You know, what do they call it? Where they
it.
give a
The
star.
honorary
Yeah,
doctorate.
it's
Yeah.
like, dude. But what is okay? Let's talk about this real fast as an
Mhm,
upwardly mobile Black woman who is educated. Okay, because y'all know
mhm.
I'm a college dropout. I tell everybody with pride. Okay, listen, I'll go back when I'm 50. It's cool. But listen, how does that feel that you or anyone has slaved away over the books When your mom says go to college and only focus on books, don't focus on a husband, don't focus on none of that.
Don't
Keep your
focus
head,
on them
you gotta open
boys.
them books, girl. You
Mhm.
know, while you're watching your counterparts get married. Okay, anyway. So how does that feel though? In debt with
Don't be
student
jealous of
loan.
your counterparts because they're on
Listen,
TikTok complaining right now. So,
listen, wait, I know. But listen, so in student loan debt, right? Having to call the credit solutionist and pay me my hourly fee, right?
mhm.
How does that feel to like know that you did all of that and then this person, all they had to do was become famous and they got an honorary master's? Are you kidding me? How does that feel? Can somebody tell me in the chat? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just it did hit me though. I thought,
Mhm.
wow, there's people that strive to do this thing and it's an accomplishment. And you mean to tell me as an educational institution that I did all that and this person only had to be famous?
And you know what? This is just Cherie. I'm not jealous of that at all.
I'm just
Here's the
asking.
reason why. I would have certain knowledge that China would not have. I would have certain skills that China would
Mhm.
not have because she did not go through the countless nights of staying up to write a term paper, of doing the
Mhm.
research, of problem solving and things like that in
Right.
order to have earned that document, now that doctorate.
Right.
Now, would I want my student loans forgiven? Yes.
I think for every seriously for every honorary doctorate that they
hmm
give out to a dang star, they should literally like forgive 1,000 student loans.
I think so.
They should pay it
I
off.
think
They should
so.
pay it
Yeah,
off.
I would agree with
Seriously,
that.
there needs to be a balance here, or whatever that celebrity made in gross income for that year,
Mhm.
write it off in student loan debt from that college.
But
How
here's the
about that?
thing, we as upperly mobile Black women need to be smarter about not the degrees that we're getting. Because if you want a
Mm,
marketing degree, I say get a marketing degree if you really want that.
mhm,
But understanding when you select that marketing degree, like you should be required to write a 2 to 3 page plan on here are the ways that I can use this marketing degree to make enough money to pay off this debt, right? So if I'm
mm,
going to spend $100,000 on a marketing degree, I'm not going to tell you not to get your college degree because if you're in corporate, one of the things that they used to do in the 80s, and I've told the ladies this on this channel, is that they would say, oh, you don't have a degree, you cannot get this promotion because you don't have a degree.
yeah,
Where, yeah, so what I suggest to my young ladies is get the degree, just a bachelor's degree, but get it before you have a husband and children and you're like 35 in your career trying to get a promotion and you're stuck,
do it
right?
before you're almost 40 like me, y'all.
Yes, yes, do just go ahead and do it. But you should have a very thought out plan with 5, 6, 7 ways you could take that marketing degree and make money, like
Mhm,
real money from it. Like, okay, I can take this marketing degree, I can learn lead generation on just Facebook, for example, and I can go and work for, these mid-sized businesses and bring them a whole bunch of leads and make a whole bunch of money and still have my marketing degree, right?
mhm,
So like what is the viable skill that goes with this? So
right.
we had moved there because we were talking about Blac Chyna earning her honorary doctorate. Um I I I'm never jealous of other people because for
Right.
everything that they got, they gave up something in order to get it.
Ain't that the truth?
And I am okay with my walk and with the things that I've had to do in order to get to where I am today.
Mhm.
We always think that the grass is greener on the other side. Oh, that person didn't have to work as hard. Oh, those white women got MRS degrees, when they got the ring by spring. And meanwhile, if you look on TikTok, the white women are saying at 40 what? As soon as I got my degree, he told me he didn't want me to work. I haven't worked
Yeah.
in 20 years. I'm 100% tied to this man financially. I can't leave. He's DVing me. What am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to say to all of us, do not assume that other people's lives are better than ours. I'll let you speak in just one second. One of the conversations I had was with an Indian woman, like from India, Indian woman. She was working hard every day in an office that we were in. Her husband was in the office with his feet propped up. She had to do all the work. Her husband was just sitting there doing whatever. We think that these other cultures have it better than we do. And I just always want to caution Black women, don't assume that until you really like they're not going to talk to you immediately. But once they see you, once they know you, for a while, you'd be surprised the drama that's happening in these Asian homes and in these white homes.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a real conversation with a Latina yet, I don't think, but I wouldn't be surprised what's happening in their homes either. So just don't
It
be
goes
jealous.
down. It goes down in the casa. And I can say that as a person without saying too much. A person that I know that I used to date very seriously. I caught wind that this person is married to another Latino person, and
Hmm.
police get called quite a bit.
Yeah.
Never, that
Yeah.
didn't happen with us, but I'm like,
Hmm.
it goes down in the casa, y'all. But I think what it is we don't, as women, as on the whole, um, we don't technically relate en masse to other women of other groups. And I think that's an honest statement. I know that there are exceptions to the rule, guys. So you don't have to say that in the chat, but
Hmm.
everybody in here doesn't have a I use the word gaggle. People get really upset about that, but I don't know oodles and oodles of white women that I'm going to sit and have super intimate conversations with where they're going to tell me what Brad is doing.
Hmm.
It's not going to happen. Very few and far in between. And I was actually just looking at a stat right now where I Googled what group has the most instances of domestic violence, and it
Hmm.
said Black people. But I think to your point, Cherie, is that I think that's probably the most reported
Hmm.
domestic violence because
Hmm.
other cultures keep it inside. They don't call the police. They don't talk because it's part of the culture.
Hmm.
Right? So you're never going to know. That's the difference as well. So I think when we even look at statistics or we look at what we see in the media, take it with a grain of salt, you guys,
Hmm.
because the only way they're able to promote these narratives to us is because the information is available. You
Hmm.
have to think about all the people that are not reporting these things.
Absolutely. You know
Because
another
I have a
stat?
very strong, I have a strong feeling the ratio of certain races in prison would go up as well if more people called the police on different types of people. But I'm gonna leave that
I
there.
would agree with that.
Anyway, sorry y'all.
You
Had to
know,
go
you
there.
know another stat that I think is overreported for us and underreported for other ethnicities is
Mhm.
abortion rates.
Oh my,
People
yes.
say that Black women have all of these abortions. Black women, we're evil. We have all of these abortions. And then as you start listening to other groups, especially white women, they don't call them abortions. They call them DNRs, whatever that means. Well, if you're not reporting it as an abortion, you're reporting it as something else. Of course, the
Oh my
numbers
God.
are flubbed up. And let me say this, all of these conservatives, and I'm a conservative, y'all know, but I can't deal with these online conservatives. All these online conservatives crying about the abortion rate, the abortion
Mhm.
rights in Ohio and in Kentucky and in Virginia being protected. Do you think it was Black women in mass voting for abortion? No, no.
We're not the
So,
majority of the votes anywhere. What?
no, no.
Anyway.
It's a DNC. Sorry, Kim. Thank you. Thank you. Saying it's a DNC. Yeah. So like, this is why I'm like, some of these stats, it was just like, yeah.
Cherie, I
Um,
gotta have you on the channel. We need to go ruffle some feathers, girl.
well, look, we're gonna have our politics discussion on Sunday, and I am totally prepared to ruffle feathers with regards to politics.
Is it
So
gonna be a call-in type thing or?
yeah, we're gonna do Colin. Yeah,
Oh, cool. Okay.
yeah, you should come on through.
Girl, I'm gonna fluff up
Uh,
the hair again. I'm gonna be there.
that's right. So Cardano is saying, as someone who's based in Las Vegas and LA, it's 1,000 times more dysfunctional in the casa, to which most
Mhm.
Black women couldn't fathom.
I want
Mm,
to talk so bad, but I'm only gonna do it behind a paywall because I got
okay,
stories for y'all.
all
I
right.
lived with a Latino for a decade. I could tell you it goes down in the casa. It goes down. It goes down.
Kat is saying here, definitely labeled differently from them. This is with regards to the DNC. And look, and it's a lot of wealthy, upper middle class white women who
Yeah.
want to have certain states. This is how they think. We're going to live in Texas for the no state taxes, for
Right.
the low taxes, right?
Yep.
But as soon as my 15-year-old daughter gets pregnant, I'm going to get her on an American Airlines flight to Ohio or some other state and
Mhm.
get it taken care of. I don't care what these people say. Like, you're not kidding me with this whole abortion thing. So,
Yeah, I heard.
and then they're going to go back and hold up a pro-life sign at the next Trump rally. Y'all know I'm Trump agnostic too, but I mean,
Same.
these people aren't fooling me. They said, okay, cool, we'll kick it back to the state.
And people forget, like, look, I went to Austin, Texas, right? And I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was like a couple of blocks out of the downtown area. Austin is so gentrified now. Why the hell is there a Planned Parenthood there? Why? There's apartments being built, right? Brand new
Hmm.
apartments, but there's this little Planned Parenthood nestled right there. Y'all,
Hmm.
I don't think that's for the Blacks.
It's
I,
not.
I don't
It's
think that's for the
never
Blacks.
been for the Blacks. It's never been
Sorry.
for Black people.
Like, I don't think that's for us. I'm
That's
sorry.
that's
Like,
why, especially on YouTube, when I hear these Black conservatives crying about abortion, I'm like, I don't understand why y'all are crying. I I I could be so much meaner with this topic, but I'm not going to.
it
I
gets
won't even
numbers.
say it
No,
behind a paywall. I'm just gonna
for
say
sure.
that these Black conservatives on YouTube they're playing in our faces. Let's just say that. They're playing in our faces. The pastor's daughters, yeah. Mhm. Not only the pastor's daughters, the pastor's mistresses.
And let's
The
be honest,
pastor's
and
mistresses.
unpopular opinion, and some of y'all in the chat are going to get upset about this, but unfortunately, some groups do use that form of contraception as their pivot, as
Mhm.
part of their level up process, as part of the I can't have a baby at 15. I'm going to terminate this one and then wait until I've done certain things in my life,
Yes, they will.
dot dot dot, right? So
Mhm.
I think sometimes there is a little bit more to it. Just it's more it's not necessarily I can't afford this. It's not a financial decision. It's a life trajectory decision, if that
Yeah,
makes sense, you guys. So
absolutely.
we have to keep what I and the reason I like talking to you, Cherie, is because it's like you have to see all sides and all facets. Like if you look into, I don't know, a diamond, a cubic zirconia, girl, whatever y'all got on right now, something sparkly, look at it. There's a gazillion different ways to see it. Like if you
Mhm.
hold it a certain way, it's going to shine a certain way. It's like you have to look at each scenario. Don't make such a snap judgment. Look
Mhm.
at it from all angles. How does this
Mhm.
affect that person physically, mentally, financially? How's it going to change their life 15 years from now? Other groups think this way.
Mhm.
Black people, African Americans, whatever we want to call ourselves here, we tend to take the punches and the blows as they come. And then we decide what we're going to do
Mhm.
versus planning our lives out and making these decisions. So there's a little bit more cutthroat attitudes on the other side, I think, and a lot less emotion
Mhm.
than what we put into things. And I think that's part of, I wouldn't say that's an issue for us, but I would say that it's something that we need to reevaluate and observe a little bit more, and possibly fine tune it, tailor it a little bit.
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion, of course, but
But very true.
yeah.
Very true. So Rana is saying they will go to Switzerland, and she also said wealthy pastors' daughters will go to Europe. See, here's the thing. They don't just want it for the wealthy, they want it for the upper middle class and the upper class as well. So they've got to have it here in the United States, Rana, or at least in Canada or Mexico, because if by chance one of these presidential candidates was going to get in, and I had said this before to you ladies, that if Trump got into the White House and any next Republican, and there was a Republican Congress, a Republican House and a Republican Senate, then I felt that abortion was going to be outlawed nationwide. They're not going to, wealthy people will go to Europe. Upper middle class, people who have resources, middle class, upper middle class, they going to go to Canada or Mexico. They're going to go right into Cabo. They're going to go right into Cabo and get a ticket. Oh, you're on mute. I think you're on mute. Yeah.
That is why your channel is so important, because right now what you're doing is you are shedding light on how it is in different groups. You're sharing game right now, because just like I did that live stream months ago about the people going to what was it, Mexico through Texas to get that surgery, and they ended up being kidnapped by the mafia. That doesn't happen to other groups. At least we don't hear about it, right? Because they're strategic about what they do. So here's the thing. We typically go to other countries because it's cheaper. These other groups go to other countries because they don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to have, they don't want that stain on their culture or their group or whatever it is. It's again, unpopular opinion, but these are uncomfortable conversations that we have to have, because that's where the change begins, where you have people like Cherie that are open-minded, very objective about things, and very matter of fact, instead of speaking it always from a place of emotion, because emotions, you guys, we got sometimes, so I'm with you where I agree. They go to different countries, but again, who are the least likely to have passports? What group do you think, Cherie?
I
don't even have to Google it. What race? What race do you think?
Black people, or if you are impoverished, if you don't have resources, which is why one of the 4 things I'm always telling you to get together are your resources. You need your technical skills, your soft skills, your multicultural networks. This is the reason why I'm telling you to have multicultural networks, because if something happens, your white female coworker, the Karen that you think is so awful, this is how you take care of this.
She gonna be a homegirl, y'all.
Yes,
utilize us. Like,
you need that information. You need that information. Kat is saying here, these other women go to their private doctor, get it done, and keep it moving. Yes, right now they're able to, depending on if it is outlawed nationwide. If it's outlawed, there will be some doctors who's like, I'm not putting my license on the line. There will be other doctors who are so high up and so protected. They do these procedures for, I'm not going to call any names, politicians and wealthy clergy and things like that. They're going to be like Jeffrey Epstein. They shall be protected, right?
Done.
Living right in New York or California or someplace like that. Yes. And you will be forced to carry the child because you can't afford to go to Canada or Cabo to get it taken care of. Right. So look.
And what about the because again, this is a conversation for upwardly mobile Black women, because I don't think I think it is great that we're talking about women, but I think we also still have to consider Black men and women as a collective. Think about it this way. And I'm going to go kind of deep here, guys. And I know it may seem like I'm reaching, but feel me, because I'm a credit specialist who sees a lot of child support on Black men's credit reports. So
how much they paying?
A lot of them, it's not that much because some I've seen, and I
Okay.
do the auditing, the Section 8 auditing
Mhm.
too. So I see some people, guys are paying like $1 a week.
I saw a guy paying $25 every 2 weeks. I don't think he was Black, though, I think he was Latino. I was
No,
like,
no, no. And
"Damn,
that's why I say I wish I could expose that information, but I can't just because of privacy
girl,
reasons.
you
But the
just
thing
did."
is, I'm gonna tell you guys, like, the news is such a funnel. It's like you're getting so little information. The highest welfare recipients we know, they don't look like us. But the news is not going to push that to you. However, what I was going to say is that you got to think about this too. Like, if well-to-do people have the resources to leave the country, they have their passports, which it costs $100, guys. Get it together, right? It costs $100. Just do it. And they're able to go to these other places and get this health care. So you have to think about, what does that mean for us? Okay, we're here. We're told to be sexually liberated. We can do what we want. We can be single mothers. Okay, cool. But what does that do to our counterpart though? Because now he may be put on child support. He may end up going to jail for child support. He will not be able to get a passport. His license will get suspended. All kinds of things can be a residual effect of us not.
He should have chosen better.
They both should have chose better if we
And
being
so
real.
should you. As a woman,
Right.
if you as a woman should choose better. He isn't.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Victoria. I feel nothing with regards to that.
Oh
I, I'm
Lord.
I'm sorry. I don't. I don't. So,
I
so okay,
I guess I
beyond
do, but
beyond a certain age. Let me just say that beyond a
mhm,
certain age, because I understand that as a young lady, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a house where they didn't really teach me game, but there were a couple
mhm.
of things that they did that basically let me know that being a teenage mother was a no-no. So
Got you.
so I got the lesson early enough.
Mhm,
Um, but I always tell the ladies here that um, having a child with the father of your children is the most important financial decision you will ever make in your life. So you better choose wisely. And number two, based on what you said and based on the stats, if
mhm.
these men are not paying a lot in child support, if you choose the wrong man to be the father of your children, you will be footing the bill as a woman. So,
But what about love, Cherie? I love him.
mm,
See, now you're about to make me act ugly. Let me be quiet.
we gonna coming back to the power of the pivot, and like Tina Turner said,
Let me stick
what's
to credit,
love
okay?
got to do with it? Nothing, nothing.
Facts.
And it's not fair ultimately to the children. We are looking to raise nepo babies over here.
Mhm,
Nepo babies have an unfair advantage. The nepo
mhm,
babies that have an unfair advantage get that advantage from ultimately both mom and dad,
mhm.
oftentimes.
Right.
Even if I will bring in a celebrity case like a LeBron
Mhm,
James.
mhm,
Even in LeBron James's case, he still had a wife who was at home, who was, keeping the home together so that LeBron could do what he could do so that they could raise nepo babies. You still
mhm.
need both. In my, well, I won't say you need both. It
It's
is
ideal.
easier to do it with both. Yes.
Right.
You have an exponentially greater chance if both parents are on the same track with regard to raising that nepo baby than if you
Right.
just have mom trying to, scrape it out of the mud in order to get this child on their way to success. So,
Because I'm sure you've done this, and a lot of women that may be in the chat right now or may watch this on a future replay. I was just talking to Mentor Shelley about this as well.
mhm,
When you are insuring yourself at your job, it might cost you 150 bucks at max to insure yourself with the greatest insurance ever. Once you add that dependent, they can take like $700 or $800 out of your paycheck
mhm.
because you're a single parent and you have to insure your children. So these are things that we have to consider. It is, yes, we have the baby, yes, we love it, and all these other things, but it's not unreasonable to think about the expenses that are going to come along with this choice that we're making to be fiercely independent,
Mhm.
right? I don't want to give $700 or $800 of my paycheck up. I don't want to do it. So they can get the same coverage I have that I'm paying $150 for? You kidding
Mhm.
me?
Mhm.
You kidding me? Like, no. So these are, so when you partner up with the a person, you do have to think about these things, right?
Yeah.
It's better to have two people. Let's see who has the better insurance. Let's see
Mhm.
who, who is it cheaper for you to do it or for me? You insure one kid, I insure the other. It's just easier when you do it with two people, guys.
It's
Partnerships are, they're amazing. Marriage is
and
not
they're
just about
better.
love, like,
Yeah. Especially if we are looking at a peaceful partnership, a peaceful partner, as much as possible. And
right.
you all know, I, uh, I, don't tell you to find a black unicorn. Personally, I'm like, date the best man for the job. If he's
Listen.
white, if he's Hispanic, if he's Asian, if he's black, just find a person who is going to be a great husband to you and a
Yeah.
great father to your children. You all know I've also said that he should know the cost of daycare before he impregnates you.
You should have these
You
conversations.
have
So
to
what
have
do you
these.
think about
Does
that, Cherie?
does he know? I always this is the analogy that I give. Right, you go to dinner, you feast on steak and filet mignon and things like that, and all of a sudden, when the bill comes due, he's like, "I didn't know it was going to be this much. You got 70% of this. You got half." And you're like, but we knew
I've
we were
totally been
coming
through that.
to, you're like, you knew we were coming to like Chez France, steak and like, you knew this was going to be a bigger bill. What?
Listen, and I'm gonna tell on myself, y'all, because I totally dated somebody like that before. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, "Are you are you serious? You're checking your bank account right now? Like, why are you doing that? Like, what the
Mhm.
hell?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "You know what? We're gonna split it. We're gonna split it
And
because
then after
you're gonna
that,
have to figure that out, sir. Because I got my half. I got my half."
but then after that, you're like, I don't respect this man
Yes,
because he did not have enough foresight. So this is going back to
it's true.
my children analogy.
Hmm.
You're feasting, you enjoy the pleasures of bed, you get up, there's a baby, and when the bill comes due, he's looking at you like, you can't stay home. I didn't know it was going to be this much. Yeah, I said I wanted a kid, but I didn't know it was going to be all of this, et cetera, et cetera. So I am a fan of, before you even marry him, before you get serious when you're talking
Hmm.
about marriage, that he should know the cost of daycare. You two should walk down the aisle of Target and he should look at the cost of formula, of diapers, things like that. Like, run that budget up. And people are saying it's
Right.
$250,000 to raise a child. It's about $1,100 a month. That number, I believe, is low.
I was
It's
say I think it's higher
accurate to
than that.
low. Exactly. So, because daycare for a newborn costs more than that. And then if he says, okay, I want you to be at home, great. Can you cover my salary? And if he's not thinking like this, you need a man who's playing chestnut checkers. You need him to be ahead of you in these conversations. And if he's not, then unfortunately, he is not good father material, especially for an
Hmm.
upwardly mobile Black woman. He's just not.
Hmm.
He's just not. Versus a
Yeah.
guy who's like, I have a home, I have a
Hmm.
3% mortgage, you know, my mortgage is
Girl.
$1,400, $1,500. I don't have any debt. Okay, Victoria, babe, you have, your student loan, but we can put that on forbearance and blah 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 blah. Like
Listen.
that's somebody you're like, okay, I can give birth and know that he's got it covered. you know. Speaking of, Mentor Shelley's in the building. Hello, hello.
Shelly need to come on here because Cherie just gave a word. My Lord. And
Well,
I think that was really great what you said, because I think that if you have that conversation with the guy
mhm,
that claims he wants marriage and these kinds of things, okay, cool. We both settled on the idea that we want marriage, we want children. All right, let's set up the game plan, because I
mhm,
know you can't predict sickness, you can't predict, emergency bills and things like that, but you can predict your budget. You're absolutely right on that, and you can say, hey, even down to, do we want to breastfeed, or do we want to have our kid on formula? Do we want to have some formula on backup? Do we want to do cloth diapers? Do we want to do regular diapers?
mhm.
Is this going to be a home birth? Is this going to be at the doctor's? Whatever. So many things that go into childbirth that I think that as a whole, we sort of look at where we came from. And I guess a lot of us were born to different family circumstances, but a lot of us tailor our child rearing, or how we prepare for motherhood based on what we saw growing up, where it was like, hey, I have it, I'm going to make it the best way I can. That's literally, I've heard that from so many upwardly mobile Black women, regular Black women, low income Black women. It's just let's just roll with it as it goes, because we didn't
Mhm.
really plan this, but we don't want to admit that it scares us to death and that we really don't know how we're going to do this.
And that's where the power of two is better than one. Now, I will
Yes.
say, if he's like, I don't really care if there's cloth diapers or regular diapers, I kind of would be okay with that. Like, I don't
Are
need
they
him.
vegan?
I don't need him to be that much in the weeds. And anybody can come up. I put the StreamYard link in as
Yes,
well.
come through.
But he's got to know what the bill is,
Mhm.
come and do. He's got to be able to pay. If it's his half, then we need to have, things set up for um, daycare. I do always suggest that women keep some form of an income, whether you're doing
Mhm.
a part-time business at home or something like that. Never, ever, ever be 100% dependent on a man. That has too many risks, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But I'm also not a super fan of daycare either. So, if
I'm
you,
gonna keep my opinion behind the paywall, but girl, I'm with
okay,
you. I'm with you.
all right. So look,
You
but
can't look
but
like talk like that, Cherie. You know that, right?
I don't care.
You can't look like us and say homeschool. You can't look like us and say private school. You can't look like us and say,
Well, we doing it over here. That's what we do over here.
I
So
straight got told off last week because I said I wanted my kids to be homeschooled or in private school.
really,
Oh yeah, because I had a yeah. Oh yeah. What's wrong with public
so
school? Okay. All right.
uh,
Well.
so Mentor Shelley, I put the link up as well. We got Rana in the building. Hello, Rana.
Hey, Rana.
Hi, good evening. How you ladies are
Good
doing?
evening.
Oh,
Good evening. What do you think about the power of the pivot? We talked about a lot. Every time Victoria
I
comes, we
think
talk
we
about a
talk,
lot of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, we talk a lot. I think like to pivot is very important when you reach of a level up stage,
Mhm.
and it also gives you growth. So I think that's very important.
what's your idea of a pivot in your own life? Or, do you have an experience with a pivot that you made that ended up being pretty beneficial, Rana, that you can share with us, that you feel comfortable sharing?
Um, so far, I guess the pivot that I have is me returning to college because I see that I do have a bachelor's degree, but I see like my bachelor's degree is outdated, and it was difficult for me to have like a stable job at the time. So I decided to just return and to just change like my career path into something more, I guess, stable
Right.
in terms of that. So I guess that would be one example.
Very cool. So, and when you did it, and I hate to make this an interview, but like when you did it, did you already consider how long it will take you to get the degree? How many years out you see your professional life going? Have you considered that the degree you're getting today, like how the industry and the market might change even by the time you get your degree? Like, did you consider all those things, or was it just you just knew you had to pivot, so you just chose something and you're just going with it?
I knew that like the type of industry I'm going to, I knew that not only that it's stable, yes, there may be some changes because of like AI or technology, but if I go once I go into that, I also need to develop technical skills, soft skills as well, because that can also prevent you from that can also help you to prevent you from being laid off. If you don't have soft skills or technical skills, like Mystery has been saying, then you put yourself at risk of being laid off. But I knew when I look into the program, I said, okay, I have this certain amount of time frame. I don't have to take a lot of courses as much. I just have to take a lot of science or certain science courses that I need. And, I want to say when I do get accepted to the program, then I'll be on my mark. And that's going to take about maybe, if I'm timed it right, maybe another 2 years. But I'm glad that I don't have to take most of the other courses that are already taken already. I just have to take most of the sciences.
That's another place they get us to with school, girl. It's like we take all these classes that don't actually transfer. And if we decide to go back to school 7 years later, we're screwed. And that our plan can be thrown off by so many years. There's so much to think about, especially if you're going to be a single woman or a professional woman, where education is part of your growth. You know what I mean? Part of your journey. So thanks for sharing that, because that's like, yeah, these are things we got to think about. You can't just jump into school. You got to think about everything, you know?
Yeah, thanks. I would just say it was different in my 20s. I just pick a major. I didn't know what major I want to do. I just go with it. Now, since I'm in my 30s, I was like, wait, let me give myself a time frame. Let me try to, I want to say try. I know Mystery hates saying when I'm trying with the word try.
You're going to do or you're not. Yes.
Yeah. So I would just pivot and see, okay, let me see what this program requires. Okay, I have this and this and this. Let me take this subject and then finish that. And then after that, when I transfer, then I don't have to worry about it as much. So.
Got you. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Rana's been doing a great job. So I'm so proud of her. Mentor Shelley. So, Mentor Shelley, you were supposed to be on last night. I was actually, I was waiting on you last night, and Victoria and I already had this scheduled for today. Otherwise, I wouldn't have double booked on you. So, but
hey, Shelley girl.
Hey, hello, ladies.
Now the real gossip begins.
Okay, listen, Shelley already knows. Like, she is my favorite. Okay, she is my favorite. All right, she already knows. I talk her head off all the time. Anyway. Cherie, you would be done with me. That's why I don't be calling you. You'd be like, girl, I gotta go. Cherie loves her sleep, y'all, and I
do love my sleep.
This woman be like, look, bye.
Yeah, look, and actually we got another 15 minutes here, and then we're gonna be wrapping it up anyway.
I know, I'm so sorry, girl. You know me. I lie all over.
So Mentor Shelley, so the conversation initially was about the power of the pivot, talking about Kiki Palmer and all of her stuff, and then Blac Chyna, which you, me, and Victoria did that live stream several months ago about Blac Chyna, and then the ultimate pivot was Tina Turner. And talking about how upwardly mobile Black women pivot when their self-esteem changes, when we're like, all of a sudden, we're like, no, I deserve better. And that pivoting, Kiki is in the beginning of a pivot now, right?
Absolutely.
And we're not assuming that this is just PR stunt or anything like that. But if, legitimately, she's in the beginning of a pivot. Blac Chyna is in the middle of a pivot, and Tina Turner, may she rest in peace, had finished her pivot and ended up with a $250 million net worth. So no matter where we are as upwardly mobile Black women, we can see the trajectory of a pivot. And then the final thing that I said, and Victoria and I talked about, was the fact that the pivot starts off in your mind, in your mindset. then it moves to physical, and ultimately it ends up financial. And if
Yes.
you have mental concerns, and it's not necessarily just mental health, but even your self-esteem, that affects your money at the end of the day. So those are all the things that we talked about in the very beginning of this. And then we started cutting up, talking about a whole lot of other stuff.
Lots of unpopular opinions, Shelly. Not sure when you
Yeah.
came in, but you know, girl.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you could talk about anything you want, Mentor Shelley.
the power of the pivot. I will say this. You mentioned at the very least 3 very powerful women that, when faced with difficult circumstances, made a choice between their circumstances and themselves. And every time they chose themselves, they were better off because of it. Tina Turner being the first one. Her career skyrocketed, took a completely different direction. She allowed those years of adversity, those years of abuse, those years of, oh gosh, the utter nightmare she probably lived through. And she channeled all of that into her career. And the Tina Turner that we all know now is a Tina Turner that she became after overcoming such adversity. Blac Chyna, as we discussed a few months ago, she did a 180 herself. And as much as Cherie, not Cherie, as much as Miss Victoria wanted to, like, well, she's doing this for money. Well, I felt it was genuine. And we haven't seen her make a pivot back to where she was. I'll give her that. So she's continuing in that path. Now, Miss Kiki Palmer, she's at the beginning stages for real. It wasn't like she wasn't multi-talented before. But there's part of Kiki, like in all of us women, that there's a part of us that's broken, that unfortunately attracts people to us that's not good for us. And no, this is not Mentor Shelley, the career coach, talking. This is Mentor Shelley, the Black woman, talking. Because a lot of us, unbeknownst to the world, are going through similar experiences. And we've had to look at situations where it's either going to be this situation or it's going to be me. And I'm going to choose me. And in doing so, you find that the strength you thought you never had, you now embody that. You now walk in it. You now wear it. And it now becomes a part of you. And I know that those women in their different stages of going through what they went through, whether it be at the hands of another person or whether it be the hands of a circumstance, had to make a decision to say, I no longer will put myself in a position to take crap from people or from this situation. And I'm going to make a better choice for me. That's where it starts at the core. I love me enough to get out of this or to end this or to separate myself from, in whatever way, shape, or form you want to put it. And from there on is where true greatness begins.
Shelly, what advice would you give to an upwardly mobile Black woman or potentially upwardly mobile Black woman? What advice would you give her in those moments where she doubts her pivot? Because a lot of the pivot, you will be alone or you will have to seek out like-minded people that you may not be comfortable around because you are going to be changing your circle. Like what advice would you give to that person that's thinking about it, but they're kind of afraid of what's on the other side of it, the unfamiliarity? Because I think Tina was very unapologetic. And she really embodied, I have this one life, I am going to live it to the fullest, from what we saw.
Exactly. From
And I
what
feel
we
like a
saw.
lot of us don't do that because we consider others in our journey before ourselves. So what advice would you, I guess, give?
Anybody that tells you that they did it and they weren't afraid is lying. Do it afraid. Do it even though the fear comes upon you. Step out, because that's where powerful change takes place.
That's major. Wow.
I wanted to comment on that because in Tina's story, now I didn't read the book, so this is just from the movie, but I'm going to assume that it's true. This piece of it, right?
Right.
When she left Ike, she didn't skyrocket immediately.
Of course not.
She
Right.
actually became broker when she left Ike. All she had was her name, and she had to fight for the stage name Tina Turner. Now, why did she have to fight for the stage name? I don't know if this is what she was thinking, but Diana Ross and the Supremes, there was a Supreme named Florence Ballard back in the 1960s. If everybody's ever seen Dreamgirls, that is loosely based on the Supremes. And Jennifer Hudson's character, Effie, was based on a woman named Florence Ballard. Florence Ballard was kicked out of the Supremes. And because of the deal she signed with Berry Gordy, which Berry Gordy is one of the slickest mobsters in entertainment industry, right? But we shall leave that for another day. But Berry Gordy set it up so that Florence Ballard could never refer to herself as a former member of the Supremes. And because of that, she was not able to capitalize on that. She was not able to make money on that. And she died broke. Yes, Victoria. So Tina Turner, when she went into that courthouse, she knew that she had to fight for her stage name. Because if she were not able to use her stage name, she probably never would have been able to bounce back. So that was the fight of her life. So imagine her going through this period of time. Ike has cut up for the last time. She leaves. That limo scene actually did happen. Like I read you know how sometimes they
That was in
embellish
Dallas,
things with
right?
movies. Yes. Sometimes they
Yeah.
embellish things with movies, but that actually did happen where, they had to fight in the limo and he beats her up severely and she runs to this hotel, etc. And she decides it's enough. I'm leaving him. When Mentor Shelley, you asked a great question, Victoria, and then Mentor Shelley answered. Thinking about, I don't know how long it took for Tina to get divorced from Ike. And then after getting divorced from Ike, getting her name, her stage name, she went to Europe. And then she was trying to get a Vegas residency. She went to Europe. Her career was suffering at a time when 40-year-old women had a hard time in the entertainment industry. A lot of young ladies don't know this. They see Jennifer Lopez today and other 50-year-old women, and they think it's always been that way. No, 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 no. Back when Tina did it in the 80s, 40-year-old women never made it. They never made it past 20, 25, maybe 30. So the question that you asked, Victoria, was so profound. I don't even think you realized it, because there will be a time and a point where you will pivot and nobody has ever made it. No female singer had ever bounced back and made it at age 40, like ever. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think. I think Tina was the first one to do it. and how scary that must have been for her. All of a sudden,
Because she changed her whole thing.
she changed her music too. So she went
Yeah, it
from
was just her
doing,
by herself.
so she didn't have the band anymore. It was just her by herself. She
Mhm.
wanted to change to rock and roll. The studio initially, according to the movie, which I would believe this is true, they said, no, we don't want you doing rock and roll. She was like, no, this is the future. Rock and roll, rock and roll. Now we see Tina and we're like, what do you mean they didn't want her to do rock and roll? But she
Yep.
had to fight for everything. It just, again, I don't think you recognize the power of the question that you asked, Victoria, because pivoting is like right now, I'm pivoting. It's an extremely, well, I won't say extremely scary time. It's not extremely, it's a scary time in my life. Extremely is a bit much, but it's scary to be in your mid 40s and to pivot. It's scary for Rana to be in her 30s and pivot the way that she is. And there's a point in the pivot where you think, I made a mistake. You will always hit that point.
Wow. So it's part of the process.
It is part of the process.
Exactly.
Wow. That's major. I think a lot of women need to know that part.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And it's the hardest thing when you're scared and then your family is looking at you saying you made a mistake. Your friends are looking at you saying you made a mistake. Yeah, he was hitting on you, but you should go back to him because, right?
Yeah.
Because you're a 40-year-old woman trying to do rock and roll, a 40-year-old Black woman trying to do rock and roll. Who do you think you are?
No.
You're a 30-year-old single mom of 2 with limited skills. Who do you think you are thinking that you can get into, I don't know, cybersecurity or something like that? And to be able to be scared and to have people say those things to you, and you still have the face of, even though I'm afraid, I'm going to continue on. I'm not going back, because 80% of people will fail, not because they didn't start the pivot, but because they doubled back.
Wow. So that's different than you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. That what you said is completely different from that. It's
And it's
like
the truth.
you took the shot.
Mm-hmm.
I love what Cadano said right there. Yes. And I literally had a whole live stream like a year ago when I first moved to Virginia about having audacity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we have been taught, or we're starting to be taught over the last few years, because I think it's different for us ladies that are like, I would say like 35, 36 and older, because social media wasn't a thing for us until the last couple of years, few years, 10 years maybe, So we didn't really grow up with that, like, look at me, look at me, look at me. It was more, what am I on paper? Like that's kind of how we did things. But I think now audacity is very different than cockiness. And I think that is what we have to have, is literally audacity. Like, you have to see yourself in a particular position and just know that it's going to happen. And then if it doesn't, then that's why you come to these kinds of videos and listen to other people's perspectives on how to pivot, because nobody said you had to stay on the same trajectory. There's going to be times where, I keep using my little metaphors, but you trying to drive to the grocery store down your regular main street, and then you see a freaking orange detour sign. You still gonna get to the store. You just have to take a couple extra blocks west and come on back where the road is opened up, right? So we don't forget the goal. It's just be open to the path changing a little bit, right? I think that's a very important thing. But the point is to have the audacity to start, and then literally have the audacity to see it through to the end, and then know when to walk away too. Because that's another conversation we can have another day. How to know how to know when you should walk away, or if you were too audacious, if that's even a word, audacious. You know, so these are all things that happen, but this is why you have to change your circle. So back to Kiki, she's got to change her circle because she thought this guy was probably the pinnacle of the man that she could have, the family life that she could have. And look, she's just like some of the ladies over here where I live in Richmond. Like she's just like some ladies over in Churchill. Look it up. It's a crazy part of town. She's literally living the same life as some of these girls in the projects over here. So it really is an internal job. Like it's an inside job. It's crazy, dude. Like I'm so glad we had this conversation tonight. Wow.
I want to add to that Kiki Palmer is no different from any one of us that has a career and decided to have a relationship with a man that initially she thought she's going to give him a chance and he seems to be a good guy. A lot of us have been in situations where you thought the guy was okay and you know everybody have their faults because nobody's perfect, and you know you trying to work with a brother, so to speak. And unfortunately, when your standards that you've established for yourself and has been working for you, you compromise on a few of those, somebody that does not deserve you slips in. And in this particular case, I don't want to say that might have been what happened with Kiki. I don't want to dare say that may have been what happened with other people, why they end up with people that decide that abuse is a way to communicate, or is that abuse is okay. But at the end of the day, she has to change her circle, because how long has this guy been around? Almost 2 years before?
2 years.
Yeah.
All of 2 years.
Yeah. He had to be around. Like, whatever circle of friends she had, I'm sure they probably said something. And she's like, oh, it's just this. And oh, you blow it off. And we're not sure how the situation escalated to this level where they have video and audio and pictures showing this type of nonsense. At the end of the day, whether they were from Tina Turner's generation, which she literally had to fight for everything she got, because it was the industry was way more controlled back then, and because the males have all the audacity in the world to do all kind of nonsense. So because we now are taking that audacity back to propel forward in many ways, whether it be financially, career-wise, in whatever ways that is going to make us better, we're going to use audacity in the right way, not the wrong way. Because they were dealing with men that use their audacity to do damage, not good. So it's important at the end of the day for us to understand that it's going to require us to change some of our circle. If you're around a situation that is toxic, you're in a situation that is abusive, whether it be on a mental, physical, or a spiritual level, and you have friends that unfortunately facilitate that type of nonsense, it's probably a good time to start making some new friends.
Pivoting.
Yeah. You have to pivot on all levels. If you're truly looking to truly make that pivot and make that pivot count, you're going to have to pivot in every area, not just one.
Yeah.
It's scary and it's hard. You move to a new city for the first time after being in one city for half of your life. Of course, that's hard. That's another pivot.
Girl.
But you got to do what you have to do, because you want 5 years from now not to look like right now. So you have to make some decisions to change your trajectory. That's what the pivot is all about.
And it's okay, y'all. I'm gonna say this and be done. It is okay. No, because you just, when you said the city thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so right. Because when I moved from California to Virginia, I moved to Lynchburg first, right? And it's an okay place, but it's dead for my personality, just who I am. It just didn't fit for this time of my life. I had to swallow that and say, you know what? You came all the way across the country. What's next? Right? So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't beat myself up about it. I didn't say, oh my God, okay, I did go through my period, y'all. And that's why I love what Cherie said. You mentioned something about it. Or it might have been Shelly, but it's like there's times in your journey where you're not going to be sure that you've done
Mm-hmm.
the right thing.
Yes.
Emotionally, you're gonna doubt what you did.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew energetically that I didn't fit where I was. So it was like, I have to eat that. And I have to say, okay. But because now I know how uncomfortable it feels to be where I'm not supposed to be, now I know what that feels like. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh crap, I just learned something brand new. So I can take that lesson for the rest of my life. When
Yeah.
something doesn't feel right, don't buck against the system as far as trying to like force yourself into it. It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not for you, it's okay.
It's
That's your
okay.
detour.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never decided to move to the city I'm in right now if I didn't go to Lynchburg first. I know that for a fact. So it's like you got to go through that part to like get to the next step that feels better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like where I am
Mhm.
now, okay, this is more me. Like I'm not even going to front. This is more me. So it's like, okay, I had to live in a podunk backwoods place to finally say, okay, maybe I'm not done with the city yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
City with a little bit of country. That's where we at now, and I like it. So,
So it's interesting. So all three of us are pivoting
yeah.
in our lives right now.
Oh yeah.
And we're also talking about upwardly mobile, famous Black women who are pivoting or have pivoted.
Mhm.
And I think that if every woman, whether she is rich, poor, Black, white, etc., every person, but let's just say Black woman because of this channel, is going to have probably a good 2 to 3 times in her life where she has the option to do a major pivot. And it's during those times when you're really tested and
Mhm.
your life is going to change whether or not you decide to stay the course where you are or you decide to pivot. Um, because if you decide to pivot, I mean, things totally can change for you.
Yeah.
So I just think that's very interesting. I know Mentor Shelley is working on her business and getting that together and pushed out more. Victoria just moved. And then I, of course, am spreading my wings with my mortgage license business and also looking to grow a 9-figure business, which is like oh yeah,
Excuse
so
me?
yes, okay,
What is
so
9? Is that billion?
no,
Wait, what is 9? Y'all, I should
100
know this.
million. 100 million plus. So I
I'm with
was
you on
like,
that, sis. I'm with you on that.
Because I was like, 9? Is that quadrillion? Anyway,
no,
go
no,
ahead.
no. So, just letting everybody know this is it's okay. My boss put his 2024 goals up. First of all, last week we had our annual company retreat. And when my boss said, here are the goals for the company, I'm one of the leaders in the company, I realized that my goals were too small. He's running fast, and I'm like, I need to run faster. So I had this whole pivot where instead of me just focusing on myself and what I'm able to do with regards to my own production, instead I'm focusing on building a company where other people can come and produce. So that requires different skills, new skills, et cetera, et cetera. But those pivots in life, it's interesting. Like I said, all of us are are going through our own pivots right now. And it'll be interesting to see where we end up, you know? I think that tonight's conversation was fruitful, definitely fruitful and very interesting.
Sure.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you for having me on, girl.
very enlightening. So, with that, well, look, it's 2 hours, so we're going to head out of here. Uh, and any final words that you two have?
First of all, I appreciate you know, allowing me to come up and put my little 2 cents in towards the end here. I just wrapped up a live myself. I really should have been done yesterday, but life is lifing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
And
do
tell
want to
people
say,
what you do and how they can get in touch with you.
definitely, you can get in touch with me at mentorshelly.com if you are looking to get your, resumes and your other career marketing tools together. You can go to mentorshelly.com/consultations to get started with me. I'm definitely here to help you to become a better professional. I
Yeah.
appreciate the
If you,
inclusion on your life tonight.
yeah. If you're looking to pivot your career, Mentor
Yes.
Shelley. Go to
Yep.
Mentor Shelley to pivot your career and to pivot your money, particularly your debt, getting out of debt. Victoria's here. So, Victoria, you want to tell people how to get in touch with you?
For sure. Okay, so if you're looking for a credit repair, because maybe you're looking to get a loan, you want to get that house, maybe you have been stifled in your career path because your credit's not so hot, you can hit me up over at fixmyficonow.com for credit repair services. I also have added a new service, which is debt and credit consultations, where we do a one-on-one that's recorded. You get a copy of it as well, where we literally go through the weeds of your finances, what's going on with you, whether it's, ideas that you have, dreams you have, and what blocks are actually stopping you from getting there. It always, helps to have an outside, let's say,
Perspective.
opinion perspective, girl, because I know opinion is a hard word. But if you want some, perspective from an objective party, it's literally no nonsense. I tell you exactly what you need to do. So you can, reach me there. And that is at mycreditcall.com. You can also follow me and subscribe to my channel, The Credit Solutionist. We are trying to get to 10,000 followers. I am now at about 9,016 people. So we're looking at getting to 10,000 by the end of this year. So definitely subscribe and check out the channel. And if you want to work with me, after you see some videos, hit me up. And I'm also a friend of the channel, so I'm good.
You're gonna come back over here, definitely, definitely. Y'all have no idea. I've been trying to get Victoria over here for like 2 months.
I'll say this. Part of my pivot, honestly, has been kind of retreating and kind of keeping to myself right now. But the more we have these conversations, I realize like, okay, it's time to come back up and put out some more content and really get back in the swing of like just being with the people, because this is where I get a lot of my energy. Like, y'all don't know, this is great. So yeah, I look forward to, seeing your pivot, Cherie. Mentor Shelly's got a lot going on. Okay. And then, like I said, once I get my little feet settled here in my new city, we're going to be at the city hall. We're going to be at the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. We going to be good. We're going to be good, y'all. So I'm looking forward to everybody's pivot. So thank you for having me, Cherie. I appreciate you.
You are welcome. Everybody click the like button on your way out. And don't forget to enjoy the journey of the pivot. So have a great weekend. Sunday, politics. We're going to cut up on Sunday.
Oh yes, I look forward to it.
Gotta
Politics
bring my battle
on
gear.
Sunday. And the show is open up your options, ... politically. Because we always talk about open up our options with these men, but let's get involved with the politics. So, and I got some messy topics as well for the politics show. Look, y'all gonna enjoy the politics show. So
Cherie is multifaceted. She's very well-rounded in her content.
Because I think upwardly mobile Black women are well-rounded women. Like, we want to talk about a little bit of everything. So I kind of built this channel for the avatar and not just to continuously harp on one conversation. So it's a poor business model, but it is quite entertaining. So All right, ladies, take care.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye, guys.